In 1918, after over a century of foreign rule, Poland re-emerged as an independent nation, but its freedom was fragile. Wedged between a resentful Germany and an expansionist Soviet Union, Poland's leaders faced a constant existential threat. To survive, they adopted a policy of equilibrium, signing non-aggression pacts with both neighbors, refusing to align too closely with either. Every decision, military, diplomatic, economic, was shaped by the need to defend against a two-front war. Poland's focus was almost entirely on Europe. Distant global affairs were secondary to the immediate challenge of survival. This intense, pragmatic mindset would unexpectedly shape Poland's relationship with a distant power, Japan. Meanwhile, Japan was undergoing a rapid transformation, emerging from a feudal society into a major imperial power on the world stage. This period of modernization, known as the Meiji Restoration, saw Japan adopt Western technologies and military strategies at an unprecedented pace. This newfound strength fueled ambitions for resources and dominance in Asia. Japan looked to expand its influence, seeking to secure vital raw materials and establish itself as the leading power in the region, envisioning a new order under Japanese leadership. Its expansionist policies inevitably brought it into direct conflict with the Soviet Union, a rising communist power with its own territorial ambitions in the Far East. This clash of interests was particularly acute along the Manchurian border, a region of strategic importance and a potential flashpoint for a larger conflict. The memory of the Russo-Japanese War, a stunning victory for Japan, still lingered, but the rise of the Bolsheviks and the establishment of the Soviet Union presented a new and formidable challenge. The perceived Soviet military threat, coupled with ideological differences, made the Soviets Japan's primary strategic concern, overshadowing other potential rivals in the region. As Japan consolidated its control over Manchuria, establishing the puppet state of Manchukuo, the need for accurate intelligence on Soviet military strength, troop deployments and technological advancements became absolutely critical for Japanese strategic planning. Recognizing the limitations of its own resources, Tokyo realized it needed to find reliable partners who shared similar anti-Soviet interests and concerns. Furthermore, the Japanese understood the importance of establishing and maintaining effective intelligence networks capable of gathering crucial information on Soviet activities. Poland, sharing a long and volatile border with the USSR, found itself in a precarious geopolitical position. Fueled by historical grievances and a deep distrust of Soviet intentions, Poland viewed the USSR as a significant threat to its national security. This shared apprehension, combined with Poland's strategic location, made it an ideal collaborator for Japan in its efforts to contain Soviet influence. To Japanese military strategists, a partnership with Poland offered a unique opportunity to gain valuable insights into Soviet military capabilities and intentions. This alliance offered the chance to indirectly encircle and better understand their common adversary, creating a strategic advantage in the face of growing Soviet power. Thus, the seeds of a unique and unlikely alliance, forged in mutual distrust and strategic necessity, were sown between Japan and Poland. The aftermath of World War I saw a reshaping of global power dynamics. By the 1920s, amidst rising geopolitical tensions, Polish and Japanese intelligence agencies began a covert partnership, a clandestine alliance forged in mutual concern. Their primary focus was the Soviet Union, a nation viewed with suspicion and concern by both countries. Polish agents, often operating undercover and skilled in regional languages and culture, diligently gathered and provided Tokyo with vital information, intelligence that proved invaluable in understanding Soviet intentions. This included detailed reports on Soviet military strength and political developments, particularly those along the western border. In return for this crucial Western intelligence, Japan shared intelligence gathered from the Soviet Far East, including intercepted communications, providing insights into Soviet activities in the East. They also shared information on troop movements, giving Poland a clearer picture of Soviet military deployments. This exchange gave both nations a panoramic view of Soviet capabilities, allowing them to assess the potential threat with greater accuracy. Their collaboration extended beyond simple information sharing to the realm of cryptology, with Polish codebreakers, renowned for their expertise, sharing advanced techniques that significantly helped both sides read Soviet ciphers, unlocking secrets hidden within encrypted messages. This fostered professional respect and tangible results, solidifying the partnership's value. This successful cooperation fostered deep trust between the two intelligence communities, creating a bond built on shared objectives. For nearly 2 decades, this secret partnership operated independently of shifting alliances and changing political landscapes, united by a common goal, containing the perceived Soviet threat and safeguarding their respective national interests. The relationship, though shrouded in secrecy, would have lasting consequences as the world moved inexorably toward the cataclysm of war, shaping events in ways that are still being uncovered today. In September 1939, Germany and the Soviet Union invaded Poland, leading to its collapse and the government's exile. Most expected Japan, as Germany's ally, to sever ties with the exiled Poles. Instead, Japan refused to close the Polish embassy in Tokyo and continued to recognize the government in exile. This defiant stance signaled Japan's independent foreign policy and deep distrust of the new German-Soviet partnership. The Polish embassy in Tokyo became a hub for intelligence and refugee aid, operating with surprising freedom. Japan's actions were shaped by its pre-war relationship with Poland and its own strategic interests. For Tokyo, maintaining ties with Poland was a way to hedge against both Germany and the USSR. Japan's continued recognition of the Polish government in exile, even after Poland was occupied by Nazi Germany, presents a fascinating case study in wartime diplomacy. This decision, seemingly defying the Axis alliance, reveals a complex web of strategic considerations and historical ties that shaped Japan's foreign policy during World War II. Was driven by strategic calculation, pure and simple. It wasn't about sentimentality, but rather a cold assessment of Japan's geopolitical position and its long-term goals in the region. Maintaining a channel of communication, however unconventional, served a purpose, and lingering distrust of Germany. Despite being allied, Japan harbored deep reservations about Germany's reliability as a partner. The Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, the non-aggression treaty between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union, shocked Tokyo, sending ripples of unease through the Japanese government, revealing German duplicity and highlighting the inherent instability of the Axis partnership. This pact demonstrated that Germany was willing to prioritize its own interests, even at the expense of its allies, and strengthening Japan's resolve to keep options open against the Soviets. Japan needed every advantage it could get in the face of potential Soviet aggression. The long-standing intelligence partnership with Poland, forged over years of cooperation, was simply too valuable to discard. Japanese leaders saw the Poles as a useful asset, a source of information and potential allies in a complex and dangerous world. In the ongoing shadow war with the USSR, the intelligence gathered from Polish sources proved invaluable in understanding Soviet intentions and capabilities. Cultural respect for Poland's resistance and martial spirit also played a role, fostering a sense of camaraderie between the two nations. Also played a role contrasting with Nazi attitudes towards the Polish people. The Japanese were appalled by the brutality of the German occupation. Even after joining the Axis and formally aligning with Germany and Italy, Japan maintained its independent stance, refusing to blindly follow German dictates and prioritizing its own strategic objectives. Keeping the Polish embassy open, a defiant act of diplomatic independence. This demonstrated that Japan's alliances were pragmatic, based on mutual benefit and strategic advantage, not based on shared values or ideological alignment. Japan's foreign policy was driven by realpolitik, not by sentiment. Above all, Japan's focus remained on its own interests in Asia, securing its dominance in the region, and the ever-present Soviet threat looming over its northern borders. This delicate balancing act defined Japan's wartime diplomacy. After Pearl Harbor, Allied nations pressured Poland's government in exile to declare war on Japan. Instead, Poland chose not to, recognizing there was no direct conflict, and that such a move would be purely symbolic. The Polish embassy in Tokyo remained a vital intelligence outpost and a lifeline for refugees. Severing ties would have ended these benefits, so pragmatism prevailed. Humanitarian acts by Japanese officials like Chiune Sugihara's rescue of thousands of Polish Jews further complicated the moral calculus. The Polish government valued these actions and saw no reason to declare war on a nation that had shown such compassion. Their decision was guided by practical needs and a focus on the real threats in Europe. A persistent myth claims Poland declared war on Japan, only to be dismissed by Prime Minister Tojo, but this is pure folklore. No official record exists of such a declaration. Poland's government in exile deliberately avoided it. In December 1941, Poland broke off diplomatic relations with Japan but stopped short of war, prioritizing aid to its citizens and ongoing intelligence work. Declaring war would have been symbolic and counterproductive, especially given Japan's humanitarian actions. The unusual Poland-Japan relationship was shaped by shared strategic interests and mutual respect, not friendship. Geographic distance and a lack of direct conflict kept them distant sympathizers, not enemies. The absence of a declaration of war was a calculated policy by a government fighting for survival.